think it's working right. I can't tell.
Anybody in the chat room?
Can you tell me if it's working? For some reason I can't access it. I don't know what's going on here. Having difficulties. I apologize. Someone's in the chat room. Please let me know if you can hear me. Thank you. Hey, Brandon, how's it going? Or Braden? I'm sorry, Braden. Thanks for letting me know. I don't know what's going on with my YouTube here. It's really weird. All right. So, enough of that. Let's jump right into this thing. Okay, so today we're going to... hold on one second. There we go. Boy. Having difficulties today. Okay, today we're going to do an animation demo. It's going to be a sequel to the live green goo demo that I have up on Gumroad, which is free. You can download that for free on Gumroad. And this first tutorial that I've done in Procreate is it's an example of straight ahead animation, where you basically animate straight ahead as opposed to pose to pose, frame or that kind of animation. You're drawing something, and you're drawing the next one, the next one, next one, and you might have a plan, but otherwise it's just straight ahead. And that's how I created this original piece of animation. It was straight ahead style, and I'll show you that right here. Here's that animation. You just push play, show what that looks like, and that's how this was drawn, except for the lightning. The live green goo was just drawn, frame by frame. I was just sort of guessing what I wanted to do and playing around. Today we're going to do the same kind of thing. It's going to be a sequel, and I've painted this background to use for our sequel. It's maybe look kind of weird, but the idea here is there's two little sort of like steampunky electricity machines, and we're going to have the piece of live green goo kind of going in an arc through the circle, like it's a little circus routine kind of thing. Doesn't make any sense, but the last one didn't make any sense either, so we're just going to go with it. And I'm going to jump right in and just start animating. Actually, I wanted to do the background, get it all set up so we didn't waste time with that. But this is the plan. We're going to go. What's going to happen is, here, I'll show you here. Using a new layer. And I'll use a bright yellow to show my plans here. So we're going to have like a spark of electricity here in the little terminal, and the light's going to go on here, and then the piece of green gelatinous stuff is going to come out and go this way through the hoop, and as it comes out of the hoop, it's going to start to sort of coil into a ball, and then the ball is going to land in the other one. And then the same thing's going to happen for that one. So it's going to bounce back and forth, basically. We'll do two different paths. I'll try to get them both done today, so they're not exactly the same, but it's gonna basically bounce back and forth through the loop. So that's our plan. Turn this off. Now, as I've said before, I have templates set up. So this is using my animation template that I have folders already set up for layout and cleanup layers. I don't think I'm going to need anything in the foreground folder that I have set up because I don't think there's going to be a foreground. But eventually, once the animation of the green goo is done, going to show you how to animate stuff and have it affect the background, and then use background layers in a few of the folders that I'm using. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to turn something on here. I'm like, why is it so quiet? It's because I don't have my mood music going. All right. Now I got my working tunes going. So I'm going to close up the background folder, and I have all my layers still in my background folder. Actually, let me check and see how many layers I got available here. Layers available, 199. Layers used, 51. We're good. We're totally good. We've used 51 layers. Got about 200 layers available. We're totally good. All right. Just gonna close that up. Oops, drag this down here. Well, actually, I'm gonna keep that. It can be used as a nice little reference as we go. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer in the background, drop a white layer into it, turn on the opacity. So now we've got kind of a scrim for the background, so we can kind of still see the background, and we can animate on top of it. But we're not, we're not looking at the actual background, so it's too dark to actually work on. Hello, Samurai. Are you Ox, my Patreon patron? All right, so close up the background again, and I'm gonna start by doing. I'm gonna sketch out the animation first. So go to my layout layer, grab my Photoshop sketcher, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I have the plan. So let's see how. Let's just I'll make it a little darker. Let's just see if I can get the animation going straight ahead right away. And I have onion skins turned on. It's 12 frames per second. Let's drop that just for now. So onion skin frames turned on. 1 frame, 50% opacity. Okay, jump into frame 2. I'm gonna elongate the thing. 3rd frame, a little longer, so it's stretching out as it goes. 4th frame, can you see the? Let me turn the onion skin opacity up a little more so you can see it. And if you have any questions or comments as I go, please let me know. I'm gonna go pretty fast here because I want to get as much of this done in the 2 hours that I have allotted for this. Whoops. I really want to show you guys what's going on here. All right, next frame. I think I got off of my my plan here a little bit. Let's drag this layer up. There we go. Oh, it weren't too bad. Let's adjust it here. Drag our little plan up here again. Next frame. I'm gonna have it start to coil. Oh, I had it backwards, that's why. Let me flip that again. There we go. Here's our plan. So the idea is this little piece of gelatinous whatever. Oops, I forgot to duplicate. Now I'm in the area where I'm actually creating frames. So I'm just going to duplicate each frame, rename it. Like this is going to be named number 6. I'm going to clear the layer off there. 3-finger swipe to clear it. Now I got to clear. So I was saying the idea is sort of that this piece of gelatinous goo is sentient, and it's like a little circus performer. Again, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have to. It's just for fun. All right, we'll duplicate this frame, rename it 7, clear the layout layer with a 3-finger swipe, and then think it's sort of elongating once it's in the ball form. Well, not too much because it just curled. Delete that. Maybe give it one more frame here. Call it 8. Whoops. Ah, you are Ox. Okay, I'm just gonna call you Ox then. And it says Samurai Ox, but better if I just remember you as Ox, my patron. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. All right, back to frame 8. And again, I'm using layer groups here, and each layer group is a single frame in Procreate, and it starts from the bottom. 1, 2, 3. You can see it moving. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And on the 8th frame, I'm just going to see a little bit. Whoops, let's draw on the right layer. That's always a good thing to do. I'm going to see a little bit of the tail as it elongates. Not too much. Oops. All right. Turn off that. Now let's see how it plays out. Oh, that actually kind of works. Let's drop the frame rate to 6 and see what happens. See if it looks better. Oh, there's my assistant Sully. All right, let's play it again. Oh, no. I need to raise the frame rate. What am I doing? You know, it's weird. I found often, so I'm at 12 frames per second right now. I found that to be a sweet spot with the animation that I do in Procreate. I don't know why. That's kind of working. Maybe do a little bit more squash and stretch on it. But otherwise, that's kind of working already. That's God, I love animating. I really do. I'm not an animator. I still say I'm not an animator, because I'm just a hobbyist. But man, I love doing this stuff. I really do. It's so energizing to see your work, your images start to move. It really is magic to me. I don't know if I'll ever get tired of it, and I wish I had more time to do it because it's so much fun. A little bit more stretch on this, a little bit more. Now let's play it again. It works pretty well. So I'm going to leave it pretty much alone. Maybe give this one a little more stretch. Let's just freeform. Whoops. Let's pull it a little bit there. Give a little bit more squash and stretch. And if you don't know what squash and stretch is in relation to animation, I highly recommend looking that up. There's great YouTube videos, and maybe I'll post some links and stuff. But there's some great YouTube videos for principles of animation. If you ever want to, look into how to animate and make your animation a little better, there's certain principles that are used pretty universally. That works. That works pretty well. Ox is saying, you make it seem so effortless, and just seeing how easy you put this together makes me think I can do it rather easy. I'm starting to dip my toe in trying brushes, but this is awesome. Thank you so much. That's the great thing about Procreate. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a trained animator. Once I got my hands on the Procreate 5 beta, it made me feel like I could animate. And if you check out the Gumroad tutorial, I talk about that in the tutorial, saying how Procreate created animation tools that make artists who are used to the layer stack environment, this being the layer stack that's in use in Photoshop, Clip Studio, Sketchbook Pro, all those apps, including Procreate, they take the layer stack and they make that your animation timeline in essence. I mean, there is a timeline down here. You can see it. You can scrub the timeline, but this isn't really where your work is done. And usually in an animation timeline, in a traditional animation app, that's where you're going to be working. Here, it's all about the layer stack. And so you can use your knowledge of how to use layers in Photoshop or Procreate or apps like that to animate. So anyway, I'm going to get back to work here. So okay, now we've got the animation down, the first lap here. Excuse me. And so let's see. So it's 8 frames. We got 8 frames there, and we're gonna need those same 8 frames of animation for the bounce back. Now I'm just gonna duplicate these right now, so I have them. 2 becomes 9, or 1 becomes 9, 2 becomes 10. Sorry for this boring part, but this needs to be done because if you're planning it out, you want to plan it out right. 3 duplicate 3, 3 becomes 11, and then we're probably going to be adding frames in between and all around just to make sure that the animation runs smooth. We'll get to that point later, but as I add frames or folders, in this case, to act as frames, like say I'll need another frame after frame 9 between frame 10, but I don't want to go back and rename renumber all the frames. I'll make that like 9A and then 9B, 9C, so that keeps things organized in the layer stack. But for right now, it's okay to just rename the ones I'm duplicating just so that we have your basic 1 through, is it going to be 18, I guess? Where was I? I'm sorry, I got a lot. I gotta shut up. Yeah, 9. I'm sorry, got lost there. So 9, 10, 11, 2, 3, 4 becomes 12. I'll try to do this as fast as possible so we can get to the fun part here. 12, 5 becomes 13. And this is important because you want to keep organized. In the same way that when you're working on 2D, you want your layers to be as organized. What was I? 7 becomes 15, right? Did I do that right? Yeah, I think I did. 8 becomes 16. So let me just play that, make sure I got it right. Yep, cool. Now, of course, layers 9 through 16 need to be flipped. And moved over here. I have to move them a little bit. 10, flip horizontal. I'm gonna have to adjust these because they're not exactly the same place. 11, flip horizontal, move that over. Flip that horizontal. Sort of eyeballing it here. I'll probably have to make adjustments, but for now it looks okay. 16. All right, now let's play it. Yeah, that works. Works pretty well. Now, some people would say, well, why don't you just, change the animation from loop to ping pong? Because I want it. I want each sequence to be sort of unique, and it could. Could it ping pong? Nah, I still want it to be unique. Because I'm going to have electricity sparking and light happening on these little device things right there. You can kind of see it, and I don't want them to be just the same, because even though it's going to go fast, it might be perceived as just copy and paste, and I don't want that. All right, so we got the basic animation down. It works pretty well, and I'm going to have some pauses in here, obviously, where the lightning or the electricity happens. But for now, I'm going to focus on just finishing up the animation of the green stuff. And let me grab my reference here. I pulled up a reference so I can copy the colors from the old one. Let's see, let's find our green that we want. Kind of a bright green here. Turn that off. Grab the cleanup layer that I have set up already, and we're just going to go in and basically fill in. This would be called the ink and paint portion of this traditional animation. I'm a comic artist, so I think of it as flatting. But basically, just keep going layer to layer, and oops, what's happening? What did I just do there? Oh, the onion skin's turned on, but it was so high that it looked like it was the same layer. All right, there we go. You always want to see a difference in the color, so you know that you're not painting on the same layer. Now, I might go in and add a little bit of motion blur to probably the top of the arc here. I'm not sure. We'll see. But at this point, I'm just focusing on doing the flats. I'm not sure how it'll look with a little bit of motion blur applied. And if this were After Effects or another motion graphics package, you wouldn't need you could just apply motion blur naturally in the tweening, but this isn't that kind of package. This is a 2D frame by frame thing, so the motion blur has to be applied sort of manually, which gives you more control. I actually did that for a recent animated piece. If you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you would have seen the 6 fan arts pieces I did. On the one with Brett from Alien, where the alien tail is swinging back and forth in the background, it wasn't looking right for me until I actually went in and blurred out the tail a little bit, especially during the lowest portion of the arc, and then it was like, oh, that works. So sometimes motion blur works. Am I doing that wrong? Okay. Let's see how that's working. Turn off the layout layers. And the scrim for 1 second. Let's see how it plays against the background. Add a little bit of variation to A couple of these make it look a little more gelatinous. Okay, now we'll start on the bounce back. Turn on my scrim. By the way, except for the background, I didn't plan out any of this. So if it looks like I'm just sort of going by the seat of my pants, I really am. I was sort of just thinking, well, you know, I've done it once. I can do it again. But that's kind of part of the challenge of doing these things live. Is, well, you know, can you do it? It can be nerve-wracking, but this is really simple stuff, so it's not too much of a big deal. I think if I was doing like a bouncing ball demo, that'd be a little different because that requires a little bit of thinking. It's too early for me to be thinking right now. One thing I want to do after I get these flats done is go and add some little bits of the green goo sort of falling off, you know, and maybe as it spins here, you know, spinning off like this. I don't know if you can see that yet, but it gives it a more of a sense of motion, even though it's, you know, won't be seen very well because the animation's moving fast. The viewer will sort of feel it, you know. One thing I found in my experiments with animation is you can do so much with so little. You know, I used to think that you had to draw like every little bit in animation, and it's amazing what you can do from one frame to the next to create a sense of motion. What streaming program is this? I'm using an app called Reflector 3 to stream my iPad screen to my Mac, and then OBS to stream to YouTube. All right, let's turn this off. Now let's turn off the scrim. See how that works. So it's working, but here's one thing I need to add that'll make it even better. So after frame it's 8, so it's an 8-frame sequence, the whole loop back and forth at this point. I'm going to add another frame here, an empty frame. Call it 8A. So we want one frame where there's nothing showing, and then after frame 16, add another one. Call that 16A. And that'll make it look like it's going actually inside the devices. So that should work. Boom, boom, boom. Yep. And so what I'm gonna do now, because it's too fast, I'm gonna go into frame A. Click on frame A in the timeline. I'm going to create a hold for, try 2 frames. Do the same thing for 16A. And that'll hold that empty frame. It'll make it be on screen for basically 3 frames. It's holding for 2 frames, and it'll be on screen for 3 frames. Let's see how that looks. Boom, boom. Much better. See, now it looks like it's going inside. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is go to the frame where it's the frames where it's crossing through that circle thing. If you notice, you know, I painted over the background, so it looks like it's not going through the circle. So we want to fix that. So let's go up to. I'm going to turn off my. I'm going to drop my onion skinning. We don't need that right now. So frame 12. I'm going to drop the opacity on that. And then I'm just going to go in. I'm going to erase. Oops, no, not that part. Sorry, this part. That way it looks like it's going through the circle. Same thing with frame. Oops, let me do the other one. Hold on. Sorry. Getting ahead of myself. 1, 2. There we go. This one. Do the same thing here. Erase that. Now, there is a way you could do this. You could have, there'd be a foreground frame up here with just that little bit of the circle there. You can do it both ways. Both ways work. This to me is just the quickest and easiest way to do this right now. Just eyeball it. Okay, so frame 4. And it's not going to take very long. Just erase this. How we do on time? 30 minutes in. I think I might actually finish this in the 2 hours that I have allotted. That's pretty cool. It's amazing how fast you can work in Procreate when you know what you're doing. Once you learn the basics, and the basics, there's not many basics. That's the great thing. It's like I said in my tutorial on Gumroad, during the primer part, there's so few basics to know, and once you know them, how complex you make the animation you're working on is all dependent on how you build on that. But the actual work can be done really, really quickly because it's not complex. All right, let's try this. Let's play it again. Boom, boom, boom. Let's make sure that I didn't miss anything. Okay. Now, let's go back to the beginning and do what I said. We're going to add little sort of droplets, sort of pieces coming off of the green goo as it flies, just to sort of, give it a sense of motion. It's working. Now, as it turns, we're going to want to make it look like that. It's flinging off little pieces of itself. And then, let's see, from here to here, here. You're going to want to make it feel like it's just completing its spin, so maybe like that. Next. Okay, let's play that, see how it looks. Looks pretty good. Oh, look, that's why it's like, why does it look okay? All right, now go back and do the other one. The same idea. This is another reason why I wanted to sort of make each arc unique so that the little offshoots don't look exactly the same. I don't want to overdo it, but just give it enough so that there's a sense of motion. As it's starting its arc there, I realize I should probably add some to those. Go back and fix that on that one. Yeah. See, it doesn't have that same sense of. Did that one as a demo. So where are we? Here. last but not least, there we go. All right, that works. Now it's time to go in and sort of add the fun details to each of the animations for the live green goo. And here's a reminder: this is the layer that I sort of flattened and dried in from the last one to give me a reference of how I made it look. To make it look, a little bit of have some volume, have some little bits and pieces inside of it. So the first thing I think I did before was I added the inner yellow glow. So we'll do that. I'm going to do this step by step. And how am I going to do this? Okay, so I'll add the inner yellow glow first. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. I'm not going to get too fancy, so I'll just paint right on top of it. I don't waste your time with all kinds of layer management. So I basically lock the pixels on each of these layers, and then paint right on top of it. And it's okay if it's kind of loose because it's gelatinous goo. That's one of the reasons why I chose that kind of thing to animate, because I knew that I could, cheat things if it wouldn't require too much detail. Whoops! What did I didn't lock the pixels in that. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's play that, just see what it looks like. Cool. Now to the bounce back. Get that. Oh, I had one more frame to do. And this is the part where animation can be tedious and slow and grueling, even more so than comic book work. It takes so much effort just to get a little bit of work accomplished, but it's so much fun, and I'm never as satisfied with anything that I do as I am with just seeing a little piece of animation come to life. It's just so much fun. I wish I could do it all the time. All right, almost finished. And good thing that this is a limited piece. There's only 8 frames to each of the sort of sequences. It's a 16 frame sequence in total. So there's not. It's not too complex, and I can kind of get this thing done quickly. Let's play it again, see how it looks. All right, got a nice inner yellow glow. All right, let me go back to frame 1, turn on my reference again. So I'm going to add some, I'll add the volume next. And, to do that, I'm gonna create a new layer, set it to multiply, drop it to about half the opacity, select the bottom layer. Let's choose that. Choose our green, and so whoops. I want to give this just a little bit of volume and some flex. Let's see how this is going to look. I'm not even sure. Whoops, that's not the right. Let's do it on the right layer. Man, I've been doing that a lot lately. I think it's because I've been talking while I work, and it can be distracting, but I do like doing it. So, okay, there. multiply. I'm going to actually duplicate this before I paint on it. So I have the layers set up in advance. Alright, okay. Wait, what did I just... Oh, okay. Alright, so we got one down. Go to the next one. I'm going to duplicate it. Drag it up. Select. What is happening here? Sorry. I feel like I'm losing my mind here. There's something on the layer that I didn't see. Alright, get back to here. I don't want to make the shading on this too heavy, you know, because it is sort of gelatinous goo. But I'm working on shading it, you know, away from the light source, which the heavy light source, which is up top here. You can see it. Duplicate that, drag it up here, clear it. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna duplicate the shading layer for all these frames up here. So I've already done it in advance. Okay, I'll go back here, select that. Ox is saying it's mind-boggling to see how quick you're able to do this. Doing something like this in a couple hours beyond impressive already, even if it was only at this point right now. I appreciate that, but again, it's to the credit of the folks at Savage Interactive. They really knocked the animation features of Procreate out of the park. I think they're just wonderful. Okay, deselect. Go to the next one. Select it. Grab my shade layer. But yeah, I mean, once you learn how to use the tools, you can work this fast, and come up with something that looks looks halfway decent. Let's see. Next one. Select that layer. And I might even be able to like get this to the point where I can show you some of the, what I call plussing the animation. Adding shadows in certain areas. Because I mean, the light source is so strong, you're going to want to see a little bit of a shadow on the floor as this thing flies back and forth. But we'll see if I can get to that point. And again, if I'm going too fast, please ask questions if you have them. I'm going fast because I want to get, I want to keep moving, and not spend too much time on this. It's just a demo, but I also don't want you guys to get bored. And one of the things about animation is it's not the sexiest thing to sit and watch someone do. And if you're working on like a complex piece, it can be downright boring when you get into the weeds. I'm trying to show people something very simple that maybe they can use the basic concepts to build on with their own work. Halfway there for the shading. I'm just going to do this as fast as I can. three-fingered swipe to clear later. For some reason, it always takes me a few times. I hope Procreate improves on that. Maybe it's just the way I'm doing it. I don't know, but I can never do it on the first try. That's frustrating sometimes. It's only frustrating because everything else moves so lightning fast. One of the great things about Procreate is it's designed for the tablet environment, so moving fast is one of the pluses on the program. I had to go back and just do a couple of things in on my Mac, my Cintiq, in another program, and it felt like I was like trying to work by drawing on molasses, with time slowed down. One of my favorite features is the ability to just sort of move the canvas around with a couple of fingers like this so fast. When I was reminded of how horrible it is to have to like click on the transform tool and rotate, and it was just like, wow, Procreate's so awesome. Have you been using in 2011, right when it came out? Because at that time, I was an early adopter of the iPad, and I knew that it would eventually be the thing that I used for work. I just knew that it was going to be the future, and so I was testing out every art app that would come out to see which one I thought was going to be the one, assuming that it would be Photoshop, assuming that Photoshop would be smart enough, Adobe would be smart enough to take the reins, and they didn't. But as soon as I got Procreate, I knew that this was the one. I knew it was going to be the one, even without a good stylus. Just the way that the app was set up, I could feel it. I mean, I had a stylus with one of those little capacitive ends, those little flat ends, so I would try to work in Procreate, but it wasn't great. And so I was like, okay, when the iPad itself gets up to speed and we get a great stylus, this thing's going to be powerful. And for the last 2.5 to 3 years now, since I've been using iPad Pro and Apple Pencil, I've done all of my pro work for comics, books, everything in Procreate. The only reason I was mentioning the beta is because I'm one of the beta testers, and I created a piece of animation to sort of Procreate commissioned me to create a piece of animation for the release. So I worked in it a lot while it was in beta, and got a real sense of what could be done with the animation. All right, all done with the shading there. Let's play it and see how it looks. Looks okay so far. But yeah, I've been using Procreate pretty much for everything for almost 3 years now. Almost 3 years. And I can't imagine not using it now. All right, what's next? Let's go back to my first frame. Grab my reference again. See what was I adding here? Highlight. That's the next step. Adding highlight. Let me just grab. Let me sample the highlight color here. I would normally create like an overlay layer, but now I'm actually just gonna paint right on top, so don't waste your time here. So just use a solid color there. I'm going to do this pretty quickly. It's going to have the most highlights right up top here, where it's closest to the light. Let's break this one up, because there we go. Same with this one. Give it sure I'm up on the chat. The other thing that's great about Procreate is they keep improving it. In the last release before 5, they added the text tools, and that made making comics on the iPad so much easier for me because now I can letter in the app. I don't have to switch to a different app, which is nice. All right, highlights done. Now, did I do all of them? Oh, I don't know what I'm thinking. I didn't do all of them, did I? I keep forgetting there's a bounce back. All right, I'll do this quick. The next, there's only one more sort of layer of details to do, and that one's going to be quick too. It's going to be the sort of, again, let's do this in the right layer. I'm going to give it the shine, sort of, the big shine that'll help put it in the environment even better. Sometimes working fast can be a good thing. I'm not thinking. All right, there we go. Let's play it. Okay. Now go back to my reference layer, way down here. I'm gonna flatten all these live green goo layers, but if you notice, there's one last thing, which is the sort of shine, the shine layer, and I'm gonna make that sort of this bright yellow, give it a little lighter color. But I think I'm gonna put it. Let's see how it looks. Actually, let me test it first up on one of the top layers here. Let's see how it looks in front first. Yeah, we'll put it in front. Just wanted to give it a little bit of a glow. It's too much down there. At this point, we're adding details to sort of make this sit in the environment a little bit more naturally, make it look like it's part of the world. It's fairly imperceptible when it's playing, but it's it's a detail that's felt, It's one of those things that, you know, maybe it wouldn't be missed if it wasn't there, but you might feel it if it wasn't there. You know what I mean? And if it is there, it just it adds, it helps ground it in the world. Almost done. Then I can get to some. How are we doing on time? Wow, I'm actually doing pretty good on time. Probably gonna finish this up today. I'm actually surprised. I feel like I've been working so slow on comic stuff lately when I do my live streams. I was worried that it would take way too much time to do this today. All right, the shine is done. Boom, boom. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go in and add the ground shadow, and I'm just going to merge these layers as I go, just to reduce the layer. Oh, what was that? Empty layer. That's weird. Just to reduce the layer number. Hold on, let me check up on the chat here. How big is the iPad you're using? Does it affect how many layers you can have per frame? It's not the size of the iPad. It's the I guess it is. The 12.9 has a better, you know, chip and more internal RAM. I think it's a better chip. I know it has more RAM than the smaller one, but it does affect the number of layers because in Procreate the number of layers you can have in a file is determined by the amount of RAM and the size and DPI of the canvas itself. So if it's the bigger the canvas, the higher the DPI, the less layers you're going to have available to you. That affects it. I mean, and if you're using a smaller iPad, like my wife has an iPad Mini that she uses to help flat some of my comic pages, and she's run into issues with layer amounts on hers, whereas I'm pretty good at layer management on this iPad. I'm using the 12.9 inch with 256 gigabytes of memory. I think it's got 4 gigabytes of RAM in that size. But yeah, it affects it. My iPad capture is frozen. Let me check. All right, give me a minute here. I'm going to reset my iPad. Thanks for letting me know. There we go. That should be better. Sorry about that. Sometimes that happens. But I do appreciate you letting me know. Okay. Am I back up? Yep, back up. All right, so I'm going to jump in with the ground shadow. I'm going to select a dark color from the background here, and I'm just going to paint it on. I use my cloudy brush to paint it on, so it's not perfect. So just a little bit here. No, we wouldn't have a shadow yet. Let's go to the next one. There, we'd have a shadow there. Let's get rid of that. Find that. So just a little bit of shadow. Oops. Just a teeny bit there. Grab my smudge brush. There, you can see the shadow. I don't make it too strong because it is gelatinous. So it would be semi-transparent, but again, we want something. And the light is coming down in sort of a, you know, an arc, so we're going to get it across here. Smudge it more. And that's really starting to ground it in the scene. I might have to reduce the opacity. It's a little strong right now for my taste, but we'll see how it plays out. Okay. Next frame. Flat. Oops. Flatten. Come on. Merge. There we go. One thing that helps when you're doing animation is using the timeline here. You see how I'm dragging it? I'm basically rocking it back and forth, making sure that things are lining up. I think this. Extend it. There we go. I'm going to switch my music to something a little more fun. Oops. Come on. Sorry for the delay here. I need my music. I gotta have it. Where is it? Yeah, put on some Studio Ghibli music. There we go. All right. Next. See, that's really starting to make it feel like the green goo is in the environment. Really starting to make it work. It's those little things that just, you know, it pluses. I call it plussing. I mean, I don't call it that. People call it that, but that's what I think of it. It's plussing the animation. It's too long. Whoops. Whoa, low battery. Uh-oh. I forgot to charge my iPad before doing this, so maybe I'll have to, you know what? Maybe I can go. My charger won't reach. Well, let's see how we do. Dang it. All right, let me grab my charger real quick. I'll be right back. I apologize for this. Give me 1 second. Sorry about this. I keep my charger out where I normally work, which is out in my living room now. Because this thing is mobile. Uh-oh. Are we back? Hopefully the screen's still working. There we go. Sorry about this. Give me 1 second, guys. Make sure the screen comes back. Is it not back? Give me 1 second. There we go. Technology can be frustrating. Okay, we're back. Oh no, it's not a problem with the cable. My charger works fine. It's just that I keep it where I usually work. I don't usually work in my office anymore. This is, but I have to stream from here, and I didn't have it, and I had a low battery, which I normally don't have. I'm usually fully charged because I'm always charging, from where I'm working. Anyway, there we go. Boom. Yeah, I'm glad I grabbed the charger. I didn't want it to stop. That's what we're doing. We're making good time here. Okay, so next one. Yeah, I just my office was where I worked for many, many years, and because of the iPad, I don't work in my office anymore. I sit out of my easy chair and work with my bride as she sits on the couch and relaxes, and I can keep busy that way. And it's more comfortable too. In fact, I need to get a new office chair that allows me to sort of recline while I'm doing my streams, because the office chair that I have is perfect for drawing on a Cintiq, but it's terrible for the way that I hold my iPad, which is I hold it in my hand while I work, sort of resting on a pillow. I don't like drawing on the iPad on a table. I don't like having it on a gantry arm. I don't like having it on a little stand. I like to hold it in my hand. It just is more comfortable that way. And everyone's different, but that's just how I work. It's how I'm most comfortable drawing with this thing. So I'm trying to get this part done as quick as possible, because the next thing to do is going to be the little sparks of lightning. Whoa! What did I just do? Oh, here we go. And those little sparks of electricity, not lightning, electricity, are going to be what motivate the sentient green, the green goo. Alright, let's play this and see how it looks. Yeah. I need to notice something though. It's a little dark right now, but that's fine. I want a little bit of shadow on the machine there, so I'm going to... because that's really effective. Same thing for the top. I need to go in and add a little bit of shadowing. Whoops. Oh. Well, again, the right layer is helpful. Whoops. See, that really... Come on. There. That works pretty well. And same for this one. Let's go in and add just a little bit. Not too much though, because it's at a different angle, but it'll help round it. Okay, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. And then before hitting the lightning, we'll do one more thing with the shadowing. We want a little bit of a shadow right here, right that frame right there, to hit the circle. Yeah, see. And then again on the return, right there. A little bit of shadow. Pull it back with the eraser. Perfect. Let's play it, see how it looks. Boom, boom, boom. It's looking pretty good. Again, I'm going to reduce the opacity on the ground shot. I think it's a little too dark right now. But for the purposes of this, it works. Morning, Robert. Oh, I appreciate it. Oh, I hope she's okay. Especially, you know, during this time, we don't want to hear about that kind of thing. That works. So we play it just a little bit, so you can see the sort of details of it. So you can see the shadow hitting it. It grounds it. Shadow grounds it. Shadow grounds it. Awesome. Okay. Now, the last thing to add. You know, it's funny. Braden says, "Boing, boing, boing." Sometimes when I'm doing these animations, like I can hear it in my head. Especially those little, you know, 6 fan arts vignettes I did. There's parts of it that I can, when I watch them, I can hear what's going on. It's the power of animation. It's so I love it. I love animation. It's so much fun. Okay, so where was I? Let me flatten this down. Get rid of some of these layers. Now, time for the electricity. So I to frame 1. So I'm going to do. I'm going to add a frame before frame 1. I'm just rename it 0. I'm going to have that be an empty frame. And add another one. 0A. This is where the naming of the folders gets wonky, but it is what it is. So actually, I'm going to create another layer here. Group these. Call that 0A. So yeah. So the folder is 0. Okay. Now I'm going to paint on the lightning, or the electricity. I keep on it, lightning. And I'm only going to need one layer of this, and it's going to be sort of, you know, like this. Make it thick here so I can cut away. And this is how I create electricity. I create something like that. Then I start chipping away at it, like at the shape of it, to make it look more electricity-like. That way, you're not trying to paint it, paint the electricity itself. You're sort of carving into the rough line that you've created. In that way, you have to focus on making those little points with the actual the brush, which can be hard and frustrating. So why not just use the eraser and create little sparks. A couple of bigger ones. Let's undo that. That didn't look right. So create a new layer group, call that 0B. Actually 0C, because I'm going to have an empty frame in between there. So it's empty frame. So I want an empty frame between the lightning or the electricity and this little button turning on. Sort of like the activator button. Oh, that's good to hear. Hope she's okay. And thank you. It's I'm having a blast doing this. All right, so let's go back down to 0A to the lightning. I'm gonna duplicate that layer. Throw in a blur. It's not bright enough for me, so I'm actually gonna drop it down below. Hold on. Let's duplicate that blur. Put it a little more. There we go. Got some nice shine on it now. And same for this little button, duplicate it. Throw some blur on it. Duplicate that. There we go. A nice shiny button now. Now, we should get spark, boom. It sends, and that's the motivation to send the green goo flying. Might add more frames. Let's see how it plays out. Yeah. So I'm noticing something. So the electricity going here. I'm actually gonna. This won't be an empty layer now. 0B will now be a new layer. 0B. And let me turn on my onion skin opacity. Go back up to that new one. So there. Okay, hold on. Sorry. So for this new layer after the electricity, I'm going to want to like continue some of these sparks so they look like they're moving a little further. You see what I mean here? And it'll give more of a sense of life to the sparks. Just a few of them. And I think I'm actually also gonna I'm gonna hold this frame that has the little glowing button one more frame. Let's see how the timing plays out on that. That's better. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna hold that. Oh no, hold on. It was this? Sorry. So that button frame, I'm gonna flatten down the button here, duplicate it, and add it to the same frame as the first and second frames of the green goo to make it look like it's holding a little bit there. Let's see. That's better. I like the timing on that. All right, cool. Now, gotta go. How are we doing time? Oh, we're like 35 minutes left. Cool. So, need to go back and do the same thing for this one. You time it right. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do real quick? Let me just go back into the gallery just to save this thing. Procreate's really good about auto-saving, but sometimes you want to do it manually, and that just means going back to the gallery. So here we go again with getting wonky with the names. So frame 9, frame A is a blank frame. We'll create a new one. Call it 8B. 8B will be our electricity frame. So let's go and create our electricity. And I'll have 3 on this one to separate it from the other one that had 2. And I'll go in and start chipping away at it, making it look like electricity. This is a technique that I learned long ago, and it's really it's great, for creating this kind of look. Saves you time, saves you energy. Using the eraser as more of a paint tool, in a sense, can be very helpful. There we go. Add some sparks. Now create 8C. I'm going to turn my onion skin opacity back on because we're going to want to make some of these sparks extend a little bit. Okay. Now I gotta do my blurring. Same for this. Okay, that works. What was my timing on the other one? Electricity, spark, then button. Okay. And the button lasted 3, I believe I had. Oops, group that. And that with 8T, duplicate it, and drag it into the next one. Duplicate it, drag it to the next one. Let's see how this plays. There it is. I think that's it. Let's see. I think I'm gonna add like a little bit of a pre electricity here. Just throw a little bit, just sort of indicate that it's about to sort of start up. Just a little bit more electricity, light, you know. Grab my Flicks brush. By the way, if you use any of these brushes, they're free on Gumroad. I get a lot of use out of this brush for effects like this. I minimize it, it's a little too much. Maybe I'll add that to the next one too. Oh no, maybe not. That actually works. But I'll add it to this one. Add some flicks to this one. Not too many, but just a few there. And pull it back with the eraser. There we go. And the same to this one. So I'm going to have to change that hold on this blank frame to 1 now, because I'm going to actually add a frame after it. This is getting even more complex. So I got 8A. I'll call this one 8A2. And I'm just going to add some light here, and some flicks. There we go. Yeah, I've got lots of cool free stuff on Gumroad, so please check that out. Take care, Braden. Thanks for watching. All right. Boom, boom. You know what? It's looking a little slow actually to me now. I think maybe I want to raise the frame rate. Let's see if it plays better, faster. Yeah, that works better. The sparks were going a little too slow for me, so there, that's better. 15 frames per second. That makes it work even better. Now, what time is it? Cool. Let's see. We can plus the electricity just a teeny bit more. Give it a little bit of a blue, really nice blue coloring for the main hits. There we go. little bit of a blue. Same the other one. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where are you? Other one. This is it. Here we go. Oh, I remember what I wanted to do. I think I have time for it too. Let's see. Yeah. So look, if you notice, the lightning or the electricity, it isn't affecting the little devices, and so that's one reason why I saved all the layers in my background, so I can actually make that happen. We want that light to affect those gizmos. So let me close up all these layers so I've got everything organized very well. Just want to keep things. Now that we've got tons of layers going on here, I want to keep things as organized as possible. So I'm just going to close these up. All right, go back to our background here. Now on certain layers, we're going to want actually, well, it's just going to be 2 layers. Two layers, the big spark layers. We're going to want that light to affect that gizmo. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, final edit revision last time to .pdf, exactly. Though I will say this about Procreate. I've had Procreate crash on me a few times over the years. Every single time it's crashed, which has been rare, it's always saved the file. So, that's awesome. Alright, so go back to my background layer. So we've got left gizmo and right gizmo. Do a left gizmo. Let's see what I want to do here. I want to duplicate that folder with the left gizmo. Drag it up here into the layer with the sparks. There we go. All right, so now we've got the folder with just the gizmo on it. Let me turn the background off and you can see what I'm talking about. So now we've got that folder with the gizmo. Oops. Inside the same layer as the layer with the electricity. Turn the background back on. It looks weird. I don't know. So it's up there. It's on top. So it'll basically, you got a copy of it sitting on top of everything else. So it's going to cover up itself on the other background layer. And the reason that I'm doing this is because, see, I kept the shading, the shadowing, the hard shadowing there on a separate layer. So now I can go into that layer, use my eraser, and carve away at that shadow to make it look like the lightning is actually lighting the gizmo for that one frame. On, off, much better. And I think actually I want to put a little bit more light on it, to be honest. So I'm going to select that, create a new layer, set that layer to overlay mode, and I'm going to paint on more light. So it looks like it's really hitting it hard. That works. Okay. Now, close that layer up. Go back to my background. Select my right gizmo. I'm going to duplicate that one again. Duplicate that one. Now, where's the frame with the other electricity? Where is it? Why am I not seeing it? Oh, it's right there. Okay, 8B. Sorry. Where did I put it? There it is. Okay, open up 8B. Drag the right gizmo up there. Now again, there. See. Now I'm going to carve away that shadow. And go in. New layer set to overlay mode. Select the gizmo. And paint on some. Oh, that's too much. Paint on some light. Oh, you know what? Oh, I just realized that there would be light on the ground too. Dang it. Let's see if I can. I wonder if I can fix that. Just like a quick and dirty fix. Like sampling a color here. Otherwise, I'd have to do a lot of stuff, and I don't have time for that right now. So I'm just going to do a quick and dirty version of what I'd normally do here. So we're going to just paint on some light here. It's only for one frame, so it's not going to show up too much, but I do want to change the lighting there. And the same for the other frame. There's another way I would do that normally, but it's really complex. It'll probably make it look better, but only marginally. So why not just do it this way? Just to get a flash of light. Since it's only for one frame. There we go. All right, let's play this thing and see how it looks. That works. Still want to reduce the shadow on the ground, but that's pretty much what I intended to do. There you go. All in an hour 40 minutes with a couple of little breaks in there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please go to my Gumroad. There's you can pick up the first live green goo tutorial. Looks like this for free. It's got I think it's like a 40 minute video in there with an animation primer showing you how to use Procreate. It's got and then it's got a time lapse where I narrate what I did. It also has the original Procreate file, so you can dig into that, and other stuff in there too. I really appreciate you watching, and thank you so much. Have a good day.